The Virginia Horse Industry Board, Southwest Virginia Agricultural Association, and the Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association are proud sponsors of Virginia farming.
This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Large or small, Virginia farmers work year-round to help put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Brought to you by Farm Family. Life, auto, business, farm. Nancy Asher, stable owner, visionary, agent of change. Another personal story on farmfamilypeople.com. Farm Family, the people you know. Hi everybody, welcome to Virginia Farming. I'm Amy Rocher. Today we'll travel to the campus of Virginia Tech to meet award-winning farrier Travis Burns on Ag Insights. Then we'll talk about backyard chickens when we join Mark Viette in the garden. Plus we'll have the Ag Calendar, a Minute in the Field video, and the Ag News of the Week, all on this edition of Virginia Farming. Data from the Virginia Field Office of the National Agriculture Statistics Service shows a decrease in most farm animal inventory. The cattle and calves are down 5%. Sheep and lamb inventory is also down 5%. Showing a 25% decrease is Virginia's goat inventory. While those inventories may be going down, food prices will be going up this year. But a USDA economist says the increase should not be dramatic. The USDA's Bob Ellison has more.
It will cost more at the grocery store this year, but not a whole lot more, according to U.S. Department of Agriculture economist Ricky Volpe.
We generally expect grocery store prices to increase maybe around 2.7 or 2.8% every year, and the current outlook for 2014 really catches that right on the button.
One area where shoppers will keep seeing high prices will be in the beef aisle. Volpe says that's mostly because cattle herds have gotten smaller since 2011.
We still have the number of cattle in the U.S. is comparable to where we were in the 1950s, and of course we have a much larger population and we're exporting a lot more, so consumers should not expect a huge price increase, but certainly for these very high prices to stay and to even inch up a little bit more.
Now, Volpe adds that a wild card influence on food prices in 2014 will be if wholesalers and retailers decide to widen what have been narrow profit margins in recent years.
There's nobody in the food supply chain who can permanently absorb losses or reductions in their margins. So that should pick up at some point in 2014, and it should translate into a quickening of the pace of food price inflation, at least over what we saw in 2013.
In Washington, D.C., for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, I'm Bob Ellison.
Thanks, Bob. The Virginia Vineyards Association has named Jeff White Grape Grower of the Year. White is the owner and winemaker of Glen Manor Vineyards in Front Royal. White was chosen based on criteria established in 2005 with the first presentation of the award. The criteria require that the recipient be an active member of the Virginia Vineyards Association with at least 7 years of experience managing or operating a commercial vineyard of at least 5 acres. The nominee must also be an active participant in the Virginia viticulture community with a history of service to the industry and must be well respected by his or her peers. Tom Kelly, president of the Virginia Vineyards Association, said Jeff White is one of the industry leaders who is helping put Virginia wine on the map, and he is more than deserving of this honor. Well, recently, hundreds of 4-H and FFA students from all across the state flooded Rockingham County Fairgrounds for a crash course in showmanship and animal care. Wes Jones has the story.
I drove 3 hours to get here. I came to see how to make my sheep better so that maybe I can win a little bit closer to first place ribbons at the state fair.
Trevor was just one of more than 300 youth who came to the Rockingham County Fairgrounds for the second Market Animal Boot Camp.
This was the idea of a very dear friend of mine, Jerry McCammon, before he passed away. He wanted a one-stop shop where everybody could come together under one roof and a youth could get all the information that they needed to be able to have a successful market animal project.
But what exactly is a market animal?
To show an animal means that you are usually going to purchase an animal or breed your own, and they're usually born around January, February, weaned in March, April, or early May, and then they are groomed, fed, raised, trained to be presented in the show ring, and then they travel to your county fair or other jackpot shows in your county or surrounding counties.
And sometimes, showing and judging can take you a little farther than just the county fair.
I've been involved in livestock since I was a little kid. Ever since I was little, my mom's been a coach. I've been on the Frederick County livestock judging team ever since I was 9. The past 2 years, I've been on the state team for Virginia. And then this year, I have the opportunity to travel to Ireland, Scotland, and England to compete internationally because we are 4th at the national contest.
Even though the event was for children, raising and showing animals is a job for the whole family.
It takes mom, dad, it takes everybody, and the youth that show, usually their parents have had experience in the show ring, so it's something that continues, and a lot of times, especially if you have a breeding operation, then you can continue to show through adult.
The exhibit hall was filled with different learning stations, covering everything from buying and breeding to raising a grand champion. It's only the second year for this event, but Ellington believes it will continue to grow.
Every year we have new youth that want to enter the show ring, so as long as there's a need, we will try to do our best to provide an educational event.
There's a lot of youth that are coming up in the agriculture field, and the agricultural future is looking really bright, so it's very exciting.
So I think I've learned quite a bit. There's different protein feeds that I've gotten notes about, and I'm going to go see if I can try it out.
Reporting in Rockingham County, I'm Wes Jones.
Thanks, Wes. Travis Burns is an award-winning farrier for the Virginia-Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine. We'll hear about his unique job when we visit him on Virginia Tech's campus. That's coming up next on Ag Insights. We're on the road today in Blacksburg, Virginia at Virginia Tech at the Virginia-Maryland Regional Veterinary Medicine Center, and I'm joined today by an award-winning farrier, Travis Burns. Travis, welcome to Virginia Farming.
Well, thank you for having me. I certainly appreciate the opportunity.
A farrier is more than a blacksmith. Explain that to me.
Yeah, so there's very much a difference between a farrier and a blacksmith. So a farrier is the person responsible for the trimming and shoeing of a horse's foot, or I guess donkeys, mules, so all equines. So it is a little bit different. Blacksmiths typically are more ornamental. They do much more intricate blacksmithing work, like so the true metalworking, than a farrier does. So there's often some overlap between farriers and blacksmiths. So farriers, as they tend to get older and they tend to move further and further away from the actual horse, they tend to get into the ornamental blacksmithing or the hobby type stuff. But for the most part, a blacksmith does true metal work, where a farrier does some metal work, which would be the horseshoes itself, and then actually putting it on the horse's foot.
So how did you get started in this profession?
Well, I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina, and my family ran a trail guide service, so a riding stable in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And there, my uncles and father would shoe about 50 horses that they had on the farm there. And, growing up, that was a time when, you weren't allowed to necessarily be playing around the barn or goofing off. So it was a very serious time, and something about it just, intrigued me, and I've been obsessed for most of my life, so.
So you really picked up a lot from your dad.
Well, my dad's and my uncles, but one uncle in particular spent more time with me than the others. He had the time to do that, and then I went to a farrier school, and then I went to undergrad at North Carolina State University. My ambition at that time was to go to vet school, but I quickly realized that I had one very specific interest, and that's what I've pursued. And so I did or worked as an apprentice in Raleigh for a few people, and then I built kind of a small practice there, and then I moved to Northern Virginia to work for another very well-respected farrier that runs a multi-farrier practice up in Leesburg, and he's actually the official farrier for the EMC, or the Marion DuPont Scott Equine Medical Center in Leesburg, which is a satellite hospital to our campus here. So I spent a few years there, and then I came down here in 2010.
So describe a normal day for you here at the Veterinary Teaching Hospital at Tech.
Okay, so a day like mine. So today, for example, we today's very simple. Not the undergrad students, but underclassmen. So classes years 1 through 3 are gone, so they're not on campus right now. So our teaching responsibilities are limited at this particular moment. But our typical day revolves around seeing, some horses here and some on the road. For the most part, we like to spend either a complete day here or a complete day on the road. But today, for example, we're going to do a couple horses here that have some problems, and then go to the riding program on campus. I do have a farrier intern that we're responsible for teaching, so we spend time foraging or doing dissections. She spends time going to class, things of that nature. During the typical school year, I do have teaching responsibilities as well. So I teach a course here to the third year veterinary students called equine podiatry with another professor here, Dr. Scott Pleasant. And so that's a class where there's built-in lecture time plus a huge chunk of lab time where the students actually spend time with hands-on work, actually trimming, shoeing, going on shoes, things of that nature, just to become more experienced with the process of a farrier. So hopefully later on in their career they can benefit from that, work better and closer with a farrier.
Horses are basically the same shape and size, so do their horseshoes really need to be different?
So no 2 feet are exactly the same, so they're extremely different, and so they're, and when they go into their conditions or if they have problems, that's when their feet really become odd or misshapen. But for the most part, they are a pretty normal shape, but there are small intricacies that make them each unique.
So basically, who are your clients?
So my main clients are mainly clients within the New River Valley or kind of eastern West Virginia, northern North Carolina, and southwest Virginia down here. So most of our clients are made up of referral cases from other vets and farriers in our area or in our region. And then we do a few select performance horses. Some of our higher end show horses, particularly show jumpers. And then we do the horses that are owned by Virginia Tech. So there are 3 herds owned by Virginia Tech. So Virginia Tech has the riding program, which is owned by Animal and Poultry Science. And then they also own a small quarter horse breeding operation at Smithfield, which is just over there. And then the vet school actually owns about 20 horses as well.
So why is it important to have horseshoes fit by hand?
Okay, so horses' shoes are made by hand in special conditions or special times, but the biggest difference between a handmade shoe and a machine-made shoe is that the handmade shoe probably fits a little more exact. So machine-made shoes come in various sizes and they have to be, altered to fit exactly. The biggest difference are the nail hole placement. So in a handmade shoe, you can place the nail holes wherever you want them or wherever you need them. In a machine-made shoe, they're in typically one spot. They're typically one even depth in. However, on a normal horse's foot, the wall is thicker at the toe and thinner at the quarter. So it's nicer to be able to have the nails punched in, the very exact place rather than just having them pretty close. And by having the ability to hand make shoes, you can carry a much smaller inventory in your truck. And so by having the ability to hand make shoes, you don't have to carry every single possible shoe in the world that you might need.
We talked about your clients earlier. Do the majority of your clients come to you here on campus, or do you go to them?
Majority of the work comes here. So really, we don't like to travel out because we don't like to compete with the local farriers. I mean, we very much want to build a referral practice here. So for the most part, most horses do come here. We obviously, when I say on the road, I mean, we're talking a mile down the road to the Virginia Tech riding program, so not very far.
All within the college?
Yep. And so we do go to a few select places, and, if there were ever a case where, well, there have been cases where we go to other vet clinics and work alongside them when the horse can't be trailered in or they have some sort of problem where they just can't physically get here. But for the most part, we prefer to do everything in-house here.
You are only one of 16 farriers in the United States to receive an associate's from the Worshipful Farriers Association. Tell me about that.
Well, it's it's an exam that you take, and so the Worshipful Company of Farriers is probably the oldest and most respected farrier organization in the world. So we, as Americans, think that they have probably one of the best farrier training programs, and ultimately they have very, very great farriers over there, and so it's a very well-respected organization. So this particular exam, you have to first have a diploma from the Worshipful Company of Farriers, which for the candidates over there, they have to go to college and serve a 4-year apprenticeship to even sit for that exam. And then they have to take the exam. For us or overseas applicants, we have to have been a certified journeyman farrier through the American Farriers Association, and then have at least 2 years experience after gaining that, which is another exam that you take to be able to sit for the associate exam. And that exam consists of a very complex written exam. They have a gait analysis part. They have a portion where you go through an oral exam in front of 2 farriers and a vet, or I believe it's actually a surgeon, and then you review radiographs with them, you review anatomy, things of that nature. You have to hand in a shoe board of anywhere from 10 to 20 handmade therapeutic shoes, and then there's actually a practical portion where you have to shoe a horse with handmade shoes to their specifications and a shoe that they pick in a 2-hour time period.
Wow, so they kind of throw you out there and to
so
see what you're made of,
yeah,
don't
so
they?
it's a 3-day exam that's very complex, and then they actually they do have an additional modern materials exam where they ask you to, for example, rebuild wall with the glues or acrylics, patch cracks, glue on shoes, things of that nature. So it's a very complex exam that's designed hopefully to for the candidates that pass must have a very well-rounded knowledge of the entire farrier trade.
You also earned a specialty therapeutic endorsement from the American Farriers Association. Tell me about that.
So it's another exam, and so prerequisites for it are you have to be a certified journeyman farrier through the AFA, and then you have to have at least 5 years experience in the therapeutic field or more corrective type shoeing. And so for that exam, again, you take a pretty complicated written exam. You have to hand in a shoe board that's judged by farriers around the country and a panel. You have to present 2 case studies at their annual convention in front of a panel of examiners. And then at that point they can ask you any questions about that, anything to make sure that you have the knowledge there. And then they actually ask you to do kind of an on-the-spot lecture on a topic that they pick with about 15 minutes of prep work. So very much on the spot to make sure you have a thorough knowledge of the entire farrier industry, particularly the therapeutic side.
So Travis, you have so many accomplishments under your belt already. What's next for you?
Well, there is another exam with the Worshipful Company of Farriers called the Fellowship of the Worshipful Company of Farriers, and there's only 4 of those in the U.S. And for that particular exam, you have to do a small research project and actually write a thesis and do a dissertation. So I'd like to accomplish that in the next year or 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So, well, congratulations on all your accomplishments and good luck in the future. And thank you so much for having us here today.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back. Backyard chickens are becoming more and more common, and they offer a lot of benefits for your garden. Let's join Mark Viette in the garden.
Many of us are getting back to nature, getting back to old ways of gardening. And one of the new trends that we've seen all over the country is the addition of chickens right in your own backyard. And in many cities, this is even occurring. Now, always check local regulations, and you might only be allowed chickens and hens and no roosters. You really have to look into that, and there may be quantities you're only allowed to have. But it really is a more natural way of gardening. And if you look behind me, you'll notice the chickens scratching in the compost. They're feeding on the old vegetables. Plus, when this garden was full of vegetables, it was sectioned off where the chickens were able to come in, and if you have a grasshopper problem, guess what? They eat all the grasshoppers. So they might eat all the Colorado potato beetles. They may eat all the Japanese beetles. Chickens also like to work in old beds, and if you'll watch, you'll see them, they're loosening up the soil, so they're really helping prepare the garden for next year. Also in this garden that we're looking at here, Steve has incorporated a lot of cover crops throughout the year. So it's a great way of getting back to some of the older types of gardening. It's real important in vegetable gardening to rotate crops and also stage crops, and that's one thing that's happened in this garden throughout the year. So you have different crops coming again and again and again. And before you plant a new crop, you might add your own compost, or you might even add some of the manures that we can look at right here. And the chickens have been working on this here, and this is a mixture of compost. And if you look, it's nice and loose, and over time the chickens are going to work this in to the bed for next year, and this might even be cover crop later this fall or throughout the early spring months, depending on when you want to plant cover crops. Right here I've got buckwheat, which the chickens have just laid down. They were just let in this area just a day or two ago, but if you just look how loose the soil is. And just by adding a cover crop, you don't have to worry about double digging with a fork. But buckwheat is excellent in loosening the soil. And what it does, its roots grow down into the soil and just help break apart the soil. And what happens is when you get that soil and you put it in your hand, the soil is in little clumps. Formulated together, so you don't have to worry about the packing down of the garden. And then you can plant your plants next year. Maybe this will be tomatoes, where the tomatoes were over there. During this season, next year you'll put tomatoes here. So it's real important to rotate the crops. And I also find that the chickens eat weeds. So if you got weeds coming up, it won't be long between these beds here. All the weeds will be completely removed by the chickens. They also feed on the old beans, and we'll look in a minute at some lima beans, and so the chickens also feed on anything that falls to the ground. And in the process of feeding on all this material, the chickens reinvigorate the garden. So it's like they produce natural fertilizers right in your own garden, right in your own backyard. The only thing is, I may not want to wake up to that rooster at 4 o'clock in the morning. So, you know, some of us may just want to have the hens. In addition to staggering your crops, consider planting varieties that bear over a long time period. You know, you can plant bush beans or bush limas, and you can plant pole limas. And the pole beans last almost all season long, as you see here. Plant multiple varieties within a small area so you can get all the different types right to your dinner table. The other thing that you can keep in mind is when you have your own chickens, not only are they improving the garden, improving the soil, getting rid of pests, at the end of the day or early the next day, you can pick your very own homegrown fresh eggs. You know, there's nothing like cracking open that egg, and instead of finding one yolk, you can find double yolks, and if you're lucky, you can even find triple yolks. In addition to the brown and white eggs, you can have green eggs, purple eggs, and even blue eggs. So there's a lot of advantages of growing your own chickens right in your own backyard, right next to your vegetable garden. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
Taking a look at the ag calendar, the 56th annual Highland Maple Festival takes place in Monterey March 8th and 9th and March 15th and 16th. You can observe the process of making maple syrup, take sugar camp tours, and sample everything maple. More information can be found at highlandcounty.org. That does it for our show. Thanks for watching and have a great week. I'm Amy Rocher for Virginia Farming.
This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. From apples to zucchini, Virginia farmers work hard to put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Brought to you by Farm Family, Life, Auto, Business, Farm. Jim Gray, farmer's son, agribusiness owner, insurance agent. Another personal story on farmfamilypeople.com. Farm Family, the people you know.